Welcome to Bay Rats and Buoys Season 2 with your host, Captain Gage.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Bay Rats and Buoys. I'm your host, Captain Gage. This is episode number 51, Season 2, Sitting on the Boat, brought to you in part by Cito Huntington. Are you a member? Visit Cito.com to join today. And the Fisherman Magazine, my favorite subscription to get in the mail. And Clicks Fueling. Visit clicksfueling.com. And let's not leave out J&M Seafood because they are about to open up a new shop. And we're going to share that news with you as soon as it's ready to explode for the press release. Stay posted. But what's up, guys? We are 1 week away from our 1 year anniversary. And, man, we're super excited. Can't believe Bay Rats and Buoys survived its first year, and not only survived, but really grew, and took off to a whole new level. And very excited about it. We're excited, thanks to you guys for being listeners and making it what it is. And believe it or not, even though we only had 20 boats sign up for our first striped bass tournament, that's an epic start. So we're looking forward to next year for the Bay Rats and Buoys first annual Striped Bass Invitational. Next year will be the second annual Striped Bass Invitational. So hopefully you guys will get excited and get in on that. We tagged 65 striped bass this year, and we're anxiously awaiting their return. So we are seeing that there's bass east of us, which is a good sign. They're in Montauk, and I was just talking to guys in Jersey today. They're going to let us know as soon as they start getting on the bite, and we need the water temperature to drop. That's been one of our big issues right now. But you know what? This season has been so, and I'll say weird. It's been amazing. It really has. As far as the fish showing up, the fish chewing, catching fish, it was an epic year for fishing here on the North Shore. But there's almost no rhyme or reason to what we see and what's going on and how the trends happen and the cycles, because there's no keeping. Got to keep notes from last year to this year and 2 years ago and 5 years ago, and you keep your notes. You look at them all, and it's watching the cycles. And this year we're starting to see stuff we've never seen before. Like right now, the water temperature is 73, it's 69, it's 70, so everybody's got different top water readings. And we're catching keeper tog here. So everybody thinks the water temperature's got to drop and the tog are going to come, but maybe we got some exotic tog that like warmer water. So anyway, point being is it's been such a weird year as far as calculating what's going to happen and how it's supposed to and what's happened in the past. And putting it all together to figure out, okay, are we a month behind? Because that very well could be the case. And which means we're going to go way into the end of November with the bass here, which is a very big possibility, like it did years ago. So that's why you look back at the logs and you see, hey, there was a time where in November it was lights out bass fishing all the way up until the end. Normally, we'd say we see the seals pop up and bass fishing shuts off. Well, there's seals popping their heads up now and the water temperature's, 70 degrees. And to me, that's crazy. Usually the seals come in and shut us down, And everywhere I'm seeing, people are posting pictures of seals, in our area, Port Jeff, they're around. Meanwhile, the Albies made their way into the harbor. They made their way into the back bays, and that's exciting. Speaking of the tournament, I always talk about the champ, and we even threw in the audio for the champ is here. And I got messages from those guys saying they loved it. And Andrew has been out feverishly looking to catch some pelagics in our area. And when you're hunting Spanish Max, Bonito, Albies, you have to do exactly that. You got to put in your time. You got to be out there every day. You got to fish the tide cycle. You got to get to where they're going to be. And even when they pop up, there's no saying that you're a guaranteed hookup, because he said he saw them and he didn't get them. And we had that discussion out in the Sound. And I was on my boat, he was on his, and we had a good talk about it. And It's frustrating and it's not, because it's fun to see them. It's fun to know they're there. But when they're in deeper water, like 75, 80 feet of water, and that's it, they're gone. They take off, they're down, and, you got to jig them up or wait to see them on the top. But it's great that yesterday he was able to get into them. He got on them. He found them. He hooked into them. And with a nice heavy epoxy jig with a single hook on it. And, kudos to him, because he's been working hard to catch it. So, Andrew, I know what it's like when you go out there and you target a specific species. I took Tony out and said, come on, let's go get some Spanish Macs. And first cast, you hook into a Spanish mackerel. That is not always the case. Sometimes it could take 2, 3, 4 weeks until you get into the species you're searching for. It's not always instantaneous gratification. So, great job. Way to stay with it. You didn't give up. And it was worth, well worth the effort that you put into it. And I'll show everybody the pictures here. And it's great to see. Really is. Especially from the younger generation, who fishing takes a lot of patience. And we've all learned that over the years. Not to mention, all the aspects that boating has to, you have to take care of the boat and take care of the maintenance and, fuel it up and make sure there's oil and all the things you do just to get out there to catch these fish. And, for the younger generation to be into all of that, it really is, it's refreshing to see. So keep it up there, champ. And now you got everybody gunning for you next year, but keep catching the pelagics, man. And hopefully I'll see you out there. I'm going to get out Friday. I know I am. Last week I had such a busy week with construction and stuff that was going on in the studio. I can't wait for you guys to see it this winter, man. You're not going to recognize it, not to mention, you used to seeing me on the boat, but we've ramped things up, all new equipment, microphones, lighting, backdrops, props, all kinds of fun stuff for Bay Rats and Buoys moving into our successful first year as a podcast, and it's really grown. And again, we thank you guys, and anybody you could share it with, share it on your social media feeds. We could take clips out of it, and we're going to start cutting it up and putting it out in little clips to start to build up the audience, because Facebook was asking me to, it got like 58,000 views in the last 28 days on Facebook, various forums and different groups. So when they send me the analytics and I actually look at I'm blown away a lot of times. But that's why we put all the hard work into it. We do that for a reason. But it has paid off. The first year was successful, and we're looking forward to the second year. And with the new stuff that we have going on in the studio and the new equipment, we're able to do so much more as far as bringing people in on Zoom calls and doing different stuff. So I'm really excited about who we're going to collaborate with and have, on the screen right here talking with me, moving into the wintertime, which, listen, it's a few weeks out. We're hitting it October this week. So it's officially fall. We move into October now. We got, October 11th is the official opening day for us here on the Long Island Sound. The New York Bight region, I think it's October 15th. So October 11th is opening day for the TOG. And I'll be happy to show you from High Hook his selection of jigs that you go there and pick up. We love going into High Hook. He's got a great selection. He's got everything you need. You go in there. I was just in there. Guys from my marina were in there. And Kevin's going porgy fishing. He's going to get on some jumbos. And, the bottom fishing, talking to Manny today too, the bottom fishing has been lights out. So as far as getting out there and catching fish, it's been an epic season. It really has. And we have to look back at 2025 and be like, holy cow. It started off with a bang. Let's see if we close it out with the same bang. If we do, this could be, it could go down as one of the best years, even though it's the timing of cycling, the fish's cycles and when they return and the water temperature and all that is off. We have no control of that. So we just got to roll with what Mother Nature throws at us here. And the bottom fishing has been lights out all season. Right now they're catching, jumbo porgies, sea bass, and weak fish on every trip. And that's awesome because the fish are here. We have a great fishery. There's no doubt about it. You see the big boats come in from the west into our area. They trek many, many miles to come here and put people on fish on their charters for a few hours and head back. So obviously it's worth it to come fish in these waters. Manny's fishing west of us, and, he's only seeing the cocktail blues and starting to mark some decent fish. But again, no bass. And we're seeing reports of bass in Montauk, so they're starting to catch them east of us. And the Bonito, the Albies, a lot of that action was red hot and east of us this season so far. We did have shots at them. They did come into the bay. They did come into the harbor. And if you weren't out there, you're not getting on it because those things are so fast. They take off. They're not sitting around. They are in. They're out. They're looking for food, and they're gone. So I got to say, 2025 was an epic fishing year. Now, I hope it was an epic fishing year for you guys. And, Frank, you put comments up on YouTube, and you're absolutely awesome at it. And we appreciate you. And congratulations for stepping into a new boat. I mean, that's a real upgrade for you now. You're going to venture off into uncharted waters, which is great to see because you're going to go fish areas you never got to fish before. And that's a lot of fun. It really is. I've made it my point to head to areas that we've never fished before this season, and we're continuing to do that now. And it's a lot of fun. So congratulations on the new, I can't wait for the splashdown. You'll let us know when you do that, and maybe we'll give away some more details and whatnot. But some of the Bay Rats and Buoys listeners are real into the show, and they can't wait for it to come out. I get text messages saying, hey, is it going out tonight or is it going out tomorrow? Usually that's a Thursday message. If I'm waiting until 5 o'clock and I'm putting it up, I'm ready to get it out at 5. I say it's going to be up by 6 o'clock on Thursday. I'm getting it up earlier and earlier in the week into the colder months now and into the fall. But like I said, I had such a busy week last week with the studio, and me and Corey were busy, and lots going on, really. Lots to be proud of and lots of good stuff. So just like J&M Seafood expanding and opening up a new place, I believe it's the town that it's in is East Setauket, but it's out, in the Port Jeff area. I shared it on Facebook, the announcement. It's coming. It's happening. And I'll let you know when you could stop by the new shop if you are out east that way. And if you're not, maybe you want to trek out east and go check it out. Well worth it. So they're an awesome company, and they're great at what they do, including the staff. And one week I said Antonio because, and again, I'm going to be working off of cue cards here. All right, enough of this putting my smoke in my brain like my two-smoke engine. I'm going to work off of BR&B, Bay Rats and Buoys cue cards. There's new logos, new merch happening, so I'll work off of my cue cards so that I don't mess up the names. And I said it was Antonio, and it was Angelo. And Angelo is actually in the video filleting the fish. He's a superstar filleter. He's like the number one filleter in the company, and you'll see him here cutting up these salmon. I believe these were from Canada. And I'm saying again off the top of my head, just from remembering from watching the video as we filmed it. So that was Rich and Angelo in the shop working that morning, cutting up some fish and getting them prepared for you guys to get in there and get some fresh salmon. And it's awesome to see. It really is. But opening up a new shop, big undertaking, lots to do, lots to prepare for, and super excited to help him out and announce it and get it out to the public. So we'll be there. We'll do some filming. Maybe we'll even do a podcast there with Matt, sit down, and finally maybe you guys can meet the staff because it would be great to have them on. And maybe we'll do just a different format when we're at J&M Seafood. So guys, check them out. You'll see all the information here on the screen. I always post it. You can reach out to them and support local companies that support the podcast, just like we support the local businesses like High Hook. And Mike over at Compass Rose, it's a disturbing sign when I pass the local marine supply store and the winterizing fluid is out on the cases for display. It's just very disappointing. It really is. You just know all good things must come to an end, and that's the season here on the Northeast. It has to come to an end. At some point it's too cold for me and Corey to be out there. Speaking of Corey, and speaking of the pelagics, they're out right now. They ran about 90 miles west offshore. I mean, of course, I got the invite to go, and it's tough when I got to turn stuff like that down. But based on work and scheduling, it all has to fall into place. And I couldn't get out there on this trip because of all the work that we had to do last week in the studio. I had to make up this week for certain stuff. And they got on a nice bunch of fish. They got on a short sword. They got on yellowfin. They got longfin. They got mahi. I'll be able to play some of the video up here on the screen now for you to see. And, Captain Scott, they know what they're doing. These guys are dialed in. So when they go out, they have awesome trips. So it's great to see. You're going to see Corey here with some nice tuna, some nice mahi, even a sword. I'm sure it didn't beat the swordfish that he got on the last trip, 120 pounds. That's a monster. And, that would have been a contender in any tournament. That was a big fish. So it was great to see that he put in his dues, stayed up all night long, working the chum, and got rewarded by reeling in a nice sword. So I'm glad they had another great trip. And, nothing short of what I expected. These guys are, like I said, they're dialed in, not only with the electronics and the equipment that they have, but the intel and knowing where to go and how to get on them. A lot of guys now are just shooting out and getting behind the draggers and getting in on the yellowfin that are following and feeding on the draggers, which are, 30 miles offshore. These guys ran 90 miles offshore for a different type of bite and different stuff. So everybody's got their, what their boats are capable of doing and their range. Not everybody wants to head out with a bladder of fuel on their boat, just a time bomb. I'm just kidding. So, and speaking of, there was a boat fire in Port Jeff. And we had a conversation about it. It was even last night, a bunch of the captains, we were sitting and talking. And, I said, why it's always Port Jefferson that has, boat fires. And, thankfully, we don't want any boat fires around here. We don't want any boat fires, period, but, it's a shame to see somebody's boat up in flames because, the good news is it's on water. So it's going to all fire on the water eventually burns out. So just keep it from going into other boats and causing other damage or hitting fuel docks. And, that's when if you have ever witnessed it, and I have, in the Port Jeff Marina and, in that area, and the Coast Guard will actually throw anchor with a long rode on it to now get control of that boat so that they could pull it away from, crashing into other boats and doing, more damage. But that's always crazy to see, and I hate to see stuff like that, but it happens. Nothing you could do. And, that's why you got to have insurance on your boat, and just like we have insurance on everything. So, bottom fishing's fantastic right now. We're still waiting for the striped bass in our area. And, another, I tell you now every week, the telltale sign, Ed Bass. He was reeling in bluefish this week. So last time I told you he was reeling in porgy. This time he was reeling in bluefish. We need Ed Bass to be reeling in bass, living up to his name. And, he's just a, local awesome guy, one of the best guys in the area when it comes to catching fish, period. But, he's always dialed in. And we love to see that. And we expect nothing less. So we're anxiously awaiting the water temperature drop. Now, these nights coming into this week, finally 55 degrees. That's the temperature we want our nights at now. It's a little cooler down here today. Again, I'm sitting in a T-shirt, and I'm sure you've all noticed the name on the T-shirt, okay? It is our little inside joke. And, speaking of inside jokes, we shortened up the cans, Manny. I am done with the Slims, I'll tell you, though, the Slims are cool, but I'd have to say the Slim cans are cooler probably in the summer when you're going to drink maybe a little bit more. But these smaller cans are absolute perfect size to finish this. And ice cold, because it's got to be on the ice for me. It has to be. At this stage of my career, I should have ice machines out the wazoo. Even Kevin said, I just saw him at High Hook, and he goes, "You beat me there," meaning here at the marina. And, he had to go commandeer some ice. They were out of ice at the fuel dock, which is a rarity, but we're going to put that on Apple Ice. Apple Ice, you need to deliver some more ice. And, they don't know the recipe, so they can't figure out the recipe for the ice that Apple Ice has. So, they ran out of ice at the fuel dock. So when I pull up, they're like, "Yo, we're out of ice." The first thing they say to me is, "Yo, we're out of ice." That's cool. I already have ice in the cooler. There's always ice in the cooler. It's just, you could always add more. So Got to have ice cold Diet Coke. And there's always ice cold drinks on the boat. It's just how it is. And man, there was times where we were like, we got to bring the big Yeti filled up with hot chocolate in the tog season because, man, there's days out there where you're like, it's cold. Hats and gloves cold, So, I did talk to Tony Maja this morning. And, we're collaborating and working on getting out together, so we're really just waiting on the bass. So he'll be talking to me from the Jersey side, and we're going to figure out a day and time to get him out on our boat. And if not, we're jumping on with him and show you some cool videos because we did upgrade with all Tony Maja rods this year for the bass fishing that we do. And we're loving it because we love the unison, look. You go to Montauk and all these guys pull up on the, the Vikings and the Bayless and all the tuner gear matches. And to me, that I love that. I really do. And we would love to, have more matching gear on the boat and, just for a look, and especially because we're really getting dialed in on making videos. This year we made a ton of videos. We have a ton of content and we will start putting it out there. Because we've got a lot of great memories, a lot of great stuff. Like last week, I brought up the rain blitz of 2025, and you had to see that. You just have to be part of it. I wish you guys were out there. It's going to be fun to get Chef Rob on where he doesn't have to come up from the Carolinas. We're going to go down there. We're going to film a little bit. We're going to stay by him. We'll do a little fishing in the Carolinas, get on some reds. Hopefully get to experience the mullet run. I've never experienced that. Speaking of, where's the bunker? So, yeah, where's the bunks? Where are they? We're seeing peanuts everywhere. Again, yesterday, sitting in the Sound as a commercial tow captain. And I'm looking around with the binoculars. I'm just looking and watching and looking and seeing what's going on. And I'm watching the birds. And, again, they would just, when they're spanned out over a big area of like a football field, and they're moving around and just picking off the water and they're just picking on bait, and you don't see any splashes, it's so Manny too. Manny in the West said he was not seeing any blow-ups that way. And, we've been getting blow-ups here in the harbor. So the bass know that, there are schoolie bass, there's smaller bass, there's holdovers, there's fish that are in the area all the time. They are definitely on the peanut bunker that are here because they're blowing up here. I see them in the mornings. If you get down here early enough, even at nighttime, you wouldn't believe it, but man, there's a couple of areas here at nighttime where the fish blow up. And it's in the back of harbors. It's in the back of the bays. And you're talking 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. And you'll see blitzing like never before. And it's incredible to see that. Really is. And I get wind of it, because we get a lot of intel and we talk to so many people. As being a local captain, you get dialed in knowing everybody and, everybody's texting you and saying, here's what's happening, and you're telling them what's happening and who's catching what with what. And, it's just a great vibe when the intel is coming in from all angles. But I guess that happens to me because I'm willing to share some of this intel with people. And, we just don't blow up spots and give Latin longitude, like they're 90 miles offshore. I didn't tell you exactly where they went, but, there's a couple of places to run and go 90 miles offshore. You can hit a couple of different canyons. And that's what guys are doing. Some guys are taking single-engine boats and going behind the draggers. Like Tuna Tom. He loved it when I called him Tuna Tom. That's an awesome nickname to have. Just like Corey. We're gonna start. I can't call him the nickname here on air because, you just can't do that. You got to come on the boat to experience. There's so many things I would love to tell you guys, even here on Bay Rats and Buoys, but I just some of it I can't tell you. But I could tell you in person, 100%. So you can mention that to me at the boat show. Or even when we're, you're going to come to a local Long Island. If you don't make it to the boat, I think everybody that boats and fishes should go to the boat show. I know it's torture because you get on boats and you're like, this is my Powerball boat. I understand that. Here I am on a 23-foot center console, but I got a wide beam here. If you look around, you can see it's a roomier 23-foot center console. So that's why we're able to do what we do on it. And we love it. She's been good to us. We've been good to her. And Fishing Vessel Sand City has been very successful. So, when I get to the boat show, it's the same thing. You see the blackfin, the yellowfin, the new HCBs, the 65 Estrelas. You see the big boats. There's one here in the harbor. It's absolutely insane. And it's got six screws on the back. And nothing short of overkill. And it's crazy when I get on Eric's 38 Outrage, I get on and I'm like, I don't even have a boat, I don't consider my boat a boat when I get on the 38 Outrage because it's just such an awesome vessel. It really is, between the girth, the size, the technology, everything. And, but to each his own and within reason. And this is definitely within reason, and I love it, and I'm proud of it. So I tell you to come to the boat show either way. Because you're all proud of your boats. You got it. You love it. And it's always nice to have aspirations and dreams to grow bigger. Everybody wants a bigger boat. Even Frank stepped into a bigger boat because he knows bigger is better. And the famous line from Jaws. They didn't even know that line was going to be as famous as it was when they said it. And if you watched that Jaws at 50 that I recommended to you, it was airing a couple of more times, and I believe it was airing in October, so you still have time to go search that and look it up. I'll put the link in the description to where you could find it. But you got to watch Jaws at 50, the definitive inside story. You got to watch it. It's epic. And they tell you how they came up with, how the lines happened and, the personalities, the clashes of personalities on set and how they had to work off of that. So that was always cool. I did hear a story. Speaking of sharks, I got somebody back to their mooring. I told them back to their mooring. I actually told them into the through the bay into the harbor. Got them to the mooring field. They were able to fire up their engine and get onto their mooring. So I followed them over there. And the wife proceeded to tell me that somebody caught a bull shark in Northport. So I said, I call bullshit, I want to see pictures. I want to see proof because, we do get browns. We do get browns, brown sharks in our area in the Sound. I believe it was last year. If it wasn't last year, it was the year before. Somebody did get a sand tiger shark in Lloyd Harbor in a gill net. So things like that, they're here. They're coming to feed. And they're not feeding on the abundance of bunker that we see. And it could be. Maybe the bunker just never came to the surface this year. We never saw them. But when she told me a bull shark, I'm like, yeah, I'd have to see a picture. Somebody would have to identify that shark. And it's not, let me tell you, it's not easy. When I was catching all those sharks on the South Shore and you're catching, duskies, browns, sandbars, which are, it's all, you have all these names and all these species. Some of them are the same shark. So, a bull shark is definitively, it's a bull shark. So I called bullshit. Let me see a picture of a bull shark in Northport. And, listen, I'd be happy to be proved wrong, but I also wouldn't want to be swimming in the waters where there's bull sharks. And I know somebody that took their little kids swimming yesterday, and it was in Northport. So I told them I hope it's definitely not a bull shark. We're gonna have to find out more. And, yeah, yesterday it was hot. It was in the 80s, and it's almost October, and people were complaining, and the parking lot to the marina was absolutely dead because I understand, kids got football games now, you got homecoming, you got all the sports in full swing. I'm Friday night. This is great. Friday night, my pastime as a young teenager was Friday night skates at Superior Ice Rink. So I take my kids to Friday night skate at Superior Ice Rink. And here I am walking along the bleachers to go tie my daughter's skates up. And actually one of her friends that we brought with us. So, I got to tie everybody's skates. I don't mind. And I hear, hey, Captain Gage. And sure enough, somebody that watches Bay Rats and Buoys and catches us here on YouTube, And great guy, Paul, from our area, fishes the 32 years fishing in this area. Very very knowledgeable, knows his stuff. And so we had a nice discussion there at the ice rink, and refreshing to take my kids to the ice rink and be able to talk about fishing. Because I'm always willing to talk about fishing, and hence bay rats and buoys. I literally am the definition of a bay rat, and it's great when I see guys out there. Like yesterday, I saw Undy. I'm coming into the harbor. I'm on the towboat. And he's leaving. I get on, and I know what channels to get these guys on, and he was heading home. So he was leaving our area to go back home, and he's just a harbor away. So it's a quick ride, but it's always great to see and communicate with the local captains. Before you know it, it'll be fall, and he'll be here in our marina, grabbing a winter slip for the tog season. A lot of guys get off their moorings and come in. I even know Corey was looking to do that with his boat for the tog season. So a lot of guys like to get off their moorings and give jump into a slip, because now guys are starting to pull their boats out. Like I said, over at Compass, you're going to see the shrink wrapping, and you're going to see the winterization, stuff out there, and the fluids, and oh God, I don't even want to think about it. So we still got weeks left. Weeks. Almost 8 of them, almost 8. I got to say we probably have about 7 good weeks, and I think the bass season's going to go till the end of November this year. I really do. Fingers crossed, legs crossed, toes crossed, cross it all. We're hoping, So it was great running into Paul at the ice rink. That was fantastic. And it's always nice to meet new people, especially when they listen. And they're locals. We swapped intel. We opened up the line, the communication via text. And, we'll hear a little more of what's going on out that way. And, he's east of us. And we all fish the same areas. You know what I mean? And I'm curious as to the guys that are east of us in the Port Jeff, Mount Sinai, Smithtown area. How far east do you guys run? Because you're only a 20-minute run from us. So it's not like we're tacking on anything. But, how far east do you guys go? Do you run to the Race? Do you run to the Peconic? And, how far do you guys travel? In the comments, you guys can throw in some comments here on the videos and on Facebook, wherever you're seeing it. And let us know how far you guys are willing to travel, because we're exploring this year. We really are. We're hitting areas that we don't normally go to, and it's a ton of fun. And we're going to keep going. Like, we're really, venturing off. We're actually testing the boat and seeing when we're going to have to refuel. Corey's ready to bring a bladder on board. I'm like, hopefully we don't need that, I don't want to have to call Cito and say I need a fuel drop. But if you do, that's the call to make, Now, the gas isn't free. But if you remember, the delivery of the gas is free. So, I did see, and Chris Squeary, thank you. One of the Facebook, he's the admin, he's the admin on Facebook. And I always thank the admins for sharing the podcast and getting it out there to the people in their group. We really appreciate you, and that's how it's grown. I mean, now Facebook's putting ads. Guys have no control of that, it's pretty funny. But Facebook is now putting ads in the podcast in the different groups. So as you'll see it, I could even post a picture here on the screen, 50,000 plus views in the last 28 days. So it's awesome to see. And Chris, somebody had posted a question regarding the 2 different tow companies, and he tagged me in the question. And I basically just said, go read the Google reviews and check out the reviews, and pick which one you feel is better for your needs, and maybe even the budget. There's a lot of deciding factors that go into it. Sometimes it's not as simple for people, but it was great. Chris, I appreciate that. Looking forward to the Montauk Canyon Challenge next year, and the Hampton Shootout, which they took over, and excited to sit with him. We'll definitely get Chris. Chris, we got to get you on at the boat show, because I know that's where we see each other. I know this is your busy season right now, and me and Chris met back from the Freedom Boat Club days, which I brought up in last week's episode telling you that we see the Freedom boats with their fenders out all the time. And we stored our boats in his marina. So we would drive the ones from the North Shore around to the South Shore and bring them into his marina, and he would take them out, winterize them, wrap them, and that's where they would be in the springtime, where we got to go put all the boats back into the different locations. And that is how I met Chris. And it's awesome because, over the years, all the different people you meet, a lot of times it's through different jobs and different things that you do. And ton of fun. Really is. That's what, I love the boat show for that reason. There, you meet so many different people. And we get Bay Rats and Buoys fans from all over at the boat show. It's pretty cool, We meet guys from New Jersey, guys from New York City, guys from Brooklyn. And to me, that's really cool because we all fish, we're all targeting a limited amount of species. There's only so many fish we're going after. In our area here on the North Shore, if we could put up a top 10 list, of the species that we target, that everybody's going out for. But comment in the video and let us know where you guys are running. Where's the farthest you've run from your port? Let us know where your home port is. Maybe that's a good place to start. Maybe I'll do a post for that. Just letting us know where you're out of, because I found out from Paul he's out of the Kings Park area, and that's great. Somebody out of Kings Park with 32 years of experience getting out there fishing knows his stuff. Anybody doing anything for 30 years should know their stuff, you know what I mean? And I expect that. Because when you do something for 3 decades, you only learn from your mistakes, and that's really how we learn. We make mistakes and we learn. Corey's made mistakes, I've made mistakes, and we've learned from them. And we grow from that, and we become a better charter business because of that, But you got to get through those learning curves. And, things that you don't want to repeat, like dropping the cutting board overboard. You don't want to do that. Corey, I bet you Corey does not drop any more cutting boards. I'm willing to make a bet. So, yep, spoke with Tony Maja. Good stuff happening. I'll keep you guys abreast of that. And it was good to be in High Hook. Always seeing Kevin and the locals. They're heading out now, so they're all geared up on the boat, ready to head out and go catch some jumbo porgies. The black sea bass, the porgies, and the weak fish as I'm watching Peanut Bunker just blow up in front, right behind the camera. There's actually explosions of Peanut Bunker and spearing happening here because the snappers and the smaller blues are in the area. So, episode 51, share it with your buddies. 52, next week we will hit our 1-year anniversary. We will have an awesome raffle. We're going to have some great giveaways for you. We got Comac Day coming up on October 4th at the JCC in East Northport. And you should stop by that. It's the biggest Comac Day yet. It's going to be the biggest one ever. I don't know how much more it can grow. It's going to be tremendous. There's a ton of vendors. I mean, just ridiculous. Food trucks, vendors, stuff for the kids to do, and even stuff for the adults. There's live entertainment, 12-piece band, there's local bands, there's a kid band. There's a lot going on, so stop by and check it out at the JCC in East Northport. I will be there, so if you want to come say hello, you can't miss me. Just like Paul didn't miss me in Superior. I stand out like a sore thumb, especially when I'm wearing my captain's, when I'm wearing my sweatshirt. You probably won't see me in my Diet Coke, you won't see me in my Diet Coke shirt, that's for sure. This is really a pun here for our podcasters and the fans of Bay Rats and Buoys. So we're working on some new logos and some new stuff because this has really grown. We're going to get the word podcast out of there. Everybody knows what Bay Rats and Buoys is now, so it's time for some new artwork. And that's it. We're going to bring episode 51 to a close here, sitting in the sun. Tide's on its way in right now. And I'm looking to get out there. Friday is going to be a big day for me. I'm going to spend all day. I am going to hunt the entire North Shore and head in one direction. I'm going to see who I can invite out there, who's free on Friday that wants to come fishing. Not inviting you here on the podcast. I'm just letting you know Friday I am going, and there will be an open invite to one of the Bay Rats and Buoys listeners. Somebody's coming with us. and we're going to get out there and get on some fish. And I want to be the first one on the bass when they're here because we're a little behind. So we're excited to see when that turns on, and I know that's why Andrew's out there, I'm out there, Kevin's out there, Dave's out there. I could draw Chris, CT. So there's a ton of people that are out there just waiting for it to actually turn on and blow up. And when it does, I want to be one of the first to bring it to you. I will go live. So if you're following me on YouTube, if you're following us on Facebook, if you head over to sandcitycharter.com, if you listen to the audio version, go check out the video version. You'll see me sitting here on my Hydra yacht, and it's actually Hydra Sports. So you'll see the video, and you'll be the first ones to know when we do get on something here because I am going to go live and show you exactly what's happening out there. So stay tuned in. Looking forward to that. We are looking forward to the fall run. I hope it's going to be just as epic as our springtime was. Love hearing from you guys, so keep the comments coming. Smash that like button. Do everything you do on social media. We love you. Keep listening. Thanks to the admins. You guys are awesome. Wishing everybody bent rods, tight lines, and I'll see you out on the water. Captain Gage signing off. Over and out.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Bay Rats and Buoys. Be sure to visit sandcitycharter.com and follow Captain Gage on all our social media channels.